Warm welcome to this special episode of ETGovernment's Digital India Leadership Series. My name is Anoop Verma. Today, our guest for this special episode is Mr. Suresh Khadakbhavi. He is the CEO of Digi Yatra Foundation, which is the driving force behind the National Air Travel Program known as Digi Yatra. Digi Yatra is a name that needs no introduction. Most air travelers in India would have used this service to enjoy a seamless, hassle-free, and paperless entry and security clearance at airport terminals. With over 20 years of professional experience, Suresh Khadakbhavi has extensive experience in telecommunications, IT industry, and innovation. The topic of my conversation is the infrastructure and cutting-edge technology and cybersecurity systems which lie at the core of Digi Yatra. Welcome, Mr. Suresh Khadakbhavi.
Very nice meeting you, Anoop.
My first question is, Digi Yatra is said to be built on 4 pillars of connected passengers, connected flying, connected airports, and connected systems. So how are you using the technology to connect the 4 pillars and ensure contactless and easy entry of all passengers at all checkpoints?
So first of all, I'm sure that you are also a frequent flyer, and then if you really look back at your journey of booking the travel itself, right? You book on either an online travel agent or an airline portal, and then once you have booked the ticket, you travel to the airport. At the airport, there are various service providers, which includes one is the airport operator. There is a security agency which looks after the security at the airport. There is a baggage handler, there is a ground handler, and then of course there will be airline staff. All these people actually, are working, disparate entities working towards making your journey, happen. And this is what basically Digiyatra is trying to solve. Like, everything getting your identity, your travel document, and any other document which pertains to your travel gets associated with your single token of face. And then you walk through with your face as the single token, and relevant information is validated at relevant checkpoints, shared with relevant stakeholders, only based on what they need to know, right? So a completely privacy by design ecosystem. And we have sort of, built it in such a way that, we completely respect, the passengers' need for privacy. And the whole ecosystem has been built on self-sovereign identity, which is a privacy-preserving ecosystem, which limits the information that is shared. Also makes it ensures that the data is cannot be misused by anyone. Also ensures that data is not stored in any central repository. However, it is shared to relevant stakeholders as and when required. So this is the whole ecosystem that we are trying to enable with Digiyatra.
So to use the analogy of the iceberg, we see only the 10%, the top 10%, 90% is hidden. No,
Yes.
Digi Yatra is also like we can say it's like an iceberg. People just see the infrastructure that photographs their face. But there must be a lot of infrastructure in the background,
Uh,
which enables Digi Yatra to provide this service so efficiently and seamlessly. So, can you give me some overview of that infrastructure that you require in every airport in order to make Digi Yatra function?
Yes, Anup. So I think this is an interesting question where we can speak about two parts of the story, right? There is one part of the story which is the central ecosystem, which is the Digiyatra central ecosystem, which issues you your identity credential, creates your travel credential, enables you to share your credentials to the airport. And then when you reach the airport, that's when the airport's biometric boarding system takes over. And the airport biometric boarding system, basically airport is a verifier. You have shared your credentials to the airport. So when you share your credentials, basically you shared your name, your face, and your PNR number and all the relevant details of your travel, right? So these are the data points shared. And now, since all of these are associated with your face as the single token, it just gets validated with that data which you have shared. And then, of course, there is a validation which also happens with the airline departure control system. And with that, then you start to move towards various checkpoints within the airport, like a security check or a boarding gate, and then eventually board the flight.
How is Digi Yatra integrated with Aadhaar and other systems for establishing the identity of the passengers?
Correct. So for us to create the credential, we need one government issued identity card, right?
Yes.
And that we have the world's biggest biometric authenticatable database, that is Aadhaar, right? And with Aadhaar, what we do is we ask the user to basically enter the Aadhaar number. Once the Aadhaar number is entered, the user receives an OTP, and that has to be entered again in the app. You enter the OTP, and then what happens is from the Aadhaar repository, your eKYC data, which includes your face, your name, last four digits of the Aadhaar, date of birth, your gender, these minimal data points are received in the phone. What the app does is the Digiyatra app basically fetches the face, which is the reference face which came from Aadhaar, and then prompts you for a selfie. And now this selfie actually gets matched with the reference face of Aadhaar. And once that is done, basically you have everything ready, which is that, okay, credential has been validated with Aadhaar, face has been matched, and that's it, and the credential gets issued. So that's how we work with Aadhaar. And to take that journey next step, what we are also trying to do is through DigiLocker, we are also trying to, currently it is in test. We are trying to get the driver license integration also done. And in our internal tests, it has worked very well. So you will have another option, which is in case you don't want to use your Aadhaar for this purpose, you can also use your driving license. And then there is another prototype which we are testing right now, which is electronic passport based enrollment. And this would be typically made available to Indian citizens who would get electronic passports, and also to any global citizen who already have an electronic passport.
Aadhaar is now about 15 years old, 15, 16, in case of most people.
Hmm.
So, does it create any problem in matching the faces? Because
So we do have, yes, you are right, and we might certainly have issues, right? If it's a very old face that has been captured, then perhaps face match might be a bit difficult. But then Aadhaar already has various ways to update your Aadhaar data. Like for example, you can actually go to the Aadhaar enrollment center and update your address. You can update your maybe if you not like for example your name. Some people have added at the initial enrollment they have added only initials, and they want to maybe now elaborate it. They can go and update that as well. So similarly, Aadhaar allows that, so you can actually get a fresh face or photo taken, and then that gets updated into the Aadhaar database. So all those are possibilities, and which passengers do use.
currently in most airports, like in Delhi airport and other airports, you have the option. Some people use Digi Yatra and some who are not might not be that tech savvy. They go by the traditional route. So I think eventually this will become mandatory sort of, and everyone will be able to use it.
So Anup, it will never become mandatory because this is not the mandate, right? It is a choice which is being given to passengers. And when you say tech savvy, right, I would actually try to slightly differ there. The initial enrollment is if you already have done the enrollment, it's a very simple. Anyone who uses a smartphone can actually do the enrollment. It's not very difficult. And what we feel is that the simplicity of the process itself is the one which attracts everyone. So, for example, if you have got your senior parents traveling by the through the airport and they are going by their own, all that you have to do is help them to enroll, get their boarding pass, share the boarding pass, and after that you have to tell them only one thing, that all that you have to do is find out the Digiyatra gates which will be there in front of you, walk through those Digiyatra gates, and at the most, in case required, you have to scan your boarding pass. That's it. So this is a very simple sort of a process, and we want to make it as simple as possible to each and everyone. And I'll tell you one other thing that we are trying to do, and this was something which I got inspired by seeing one YouTube video. And this YouTube video is about a person who is wearing chappal and gamcha. And he says that, chappal or gamche mein Maharaja ki savari with Digi Yatra. And he has a person shooting his video, and then this guy is walking. He's actually in chappal and gamcha. He is walking through all those touch points. Somebody is shooting the video, and he just walks through, right? I mean, it's such a simple thing. And that video actually sort of started to trigger thoughts in my mind that, I mean, really, it is actually so simple for anyone and everyone to. You don't need a tech geek or a software, expert to sort of use Digiyatra, right? I mean, it is as simple as just walking through all the touch points. So I said, okay, maybe what could be a hindrance or what could be a barrier is the language in which the app is. And we currently have only English language. So what we are now working on is bringing in multiple languages. So as soon as you install the Digiyatra app, you will get the choice to use Digiyatra app in your own native language or mother tongue, in the language that you are comfortable with. So I think that will sort of reduce the barrier, and we want, our intent is to make it as simple as possible to each and every traveler.
And what is the pace of growth for Digi Yatra in India? And how long will it take for Digi Yatra to cover all the airports?
Yeah, so we started small, right? Almost like 2 years old now. In December, we will
And
be
2 years, you
2 years.
have had a lot of growth. And most big airports have the Digi Yatra now.
Correct. So we have currently we have got 24 airports, right? Another 4 or 5 airports are also going to join us in the next few months. And that covers actually 85 to 90% of the flying population. So our addressable volume is around 85 to 90% of India's flying population with these 25 plus airports, right? And adoption rate is certainly increasing, and we have on the apps, if you'll see, we have already crossed 6.5 million users. And it's very soon going to cross the threshold of 7 million. In the next 5 days, we should cross 7 million. Every day, around 30,000 new users are, enrolling into Digiyatra, right? And I think more than 30, 35 lakh, I'm not getting the right number, but 30 lakh times it has been used at airports across India.
Are you seeing enthusiastic response from the passengers for using Digi Yatra powered gates at the airports? So the expansion that you are having is due to government policy or because there is demand from the passengers?
So I think it's a combination of both, right? Or many things. It's not just one. And I keep saying this in all the forums that I speak, right? That this is a. It's not like one or two individuals or one or two entities driving this
When
whole.
I started using Digi Yatra, and then I was hooked. So now I'm trying to find Digi Yatra gates in almost any airport that I go.
So it's a contribution. So one is, of course, the direction which was given by the ministry, right? Ministry of Civil Aviation, the Honorable Minister of Civil Aviation. They have all been completely supporting our initiative. That has been like, such a great thing, because once you get the support from the government, right? For us, it becomes easier to execute. And then if you look at the other aspect, our ecosystem, Digi Yatra Foundation, building the Digi Yatra central ecosystem, the apps and all that, is, I would say, just one part of the story. But the real story is where the actual service delivery happens, which is at the airports itself, where an operational airport, you have to roll out multiple e-gates, and then without causing hindrance to the existing passenger flow, installing these equipment, testing them out. So all that is such a massive task. Uh, and I think it is because of the airport's contribution that it has happened. So hopefully the thing continues to grow, and we do expect that we will have higher level of adoption.
Digi Yatra is a young organization. I think it's too early to do a public survey on how what people think about it and what enhancement they would like. But are you trying to thinking of doing something like that to
Yes,
get the
yes.
public response and public opinion on how it is actually affecting the lives of the passengers?
Yes, Anup. So I think this is a fantastic question, right? And this, I am happy that you are asking me this question. And we sort of decided within our internal team meeting, right, that we are building this for the customer. right? And who best, other than the customer can define it? We will ask the customers themselves, our passengers, we will ask, what is the next service that you want from Digiyatra? Do you want to be able to book, say, porter service, right? Do you want to be able to book a cab, for example, or do you want to do anything else pertaining to your travel? Do you want international travel? So all these, we will be actually starting a survey, and that survey questionnaire and everything is now getting prepared, and we'll be soon launching that. And the intent is very simple, right? We'll ask people what they want on Digiyatra, and do they want to define the next phase of growth of Digiyatra.
Mm.
We will get this input, and then we'll present it to all the authorities and management, etc. And then we will take the whole journey forward.
Digi Yatra is using technologies like AI for facial recognition. Data is being processed online. Can there be a possibility of data leakage, resulting in violation of privacy of the passengers due to cyber attacks or some other reason?
Yeah. So what we have basically done is from the day of our launch itself, right? We have been using something called a self-sovereign identity. And self-sovereign identity means basically empowering you as a user to take charge of your personally identifiable information. You can actually share your credentials, you know to whom you have shared your credentials, you know when it has been shared, and you are in complete control of your personally identifiable information. The other thing is that there is no central repository of your data. And that means that, since there is no central repository, there is nobody who can actually hack into a central repository and hack into, 6.5 million users' data. If somebody has to hack into the personally identifiable information of Digiyatra users, then they have to hack into 6.5 million plus phones individually, which is the degree of difficulty that is there, right? And so from that perspective, I would say that, we are one of the world's first implementation at this scale and volume of self-sovereign identity, which is a cutting edge concept where, actually speaking, many other countries are also trying to roll out similar ecosystems, which is one of the reasons being that, it's a privacy preserving ecosystem. And European Union is one great example where they have already started to create the framework and started to sort of, allow people to do prototype testing and all that. So from that perspective, I will say that, your data is really very well protected, just because of the concept that we have used, right? No central storage of your personally identifiable information.
Now, the technologies for facial recognition and other systems that Digi Yatra is using, they are evolving at a fast pace. So, what are you doing to ensure that the technologies of your service are up to date?
Yeah, so I think this is a very simple answer, right? Meaning that, as the biometric matching algorithms continue to improve, right? We will go with the best in the breed, right? And for us, biometric matching algorithm, for me personally, if you had to ask me, right, there are so many top-notch biometric matching algorithms, and I don't need to use only one. We can actually use at least two or three, and the reason could be that, I first of all, do not get tied down to any single biometric service provider. The second is that I'll have some level of competition between the three top, say, biometric service providers that I choose. And therefore, I think for us, I think it is never a problem. We will continue to choose this on a regular basis.
Currently, Digi Yatra is used only for domestic travel. What are the possibilities of using it for international travel?
Absolutely. So this is from our start, right? From the start of our journey, we have been thinking of, the same ecosystem being used for international travel. And I'll give you an example of how, right? So, for example, just think that you are flying from Bengaluru to, say, Frankfurt. And at the Bengaluru airport, since you are flying international, now there is an immigration process that needs to be taken care of. So imagine you shared your credentials to the Indian immigration authorities. They received your credentials. You went through the airport, completely Digiyatra seamless experience, boarded the aircraft. And now think about it. You land into Frankfurt. At Frankfurt, there is also an immigration process, arrival immigration process. And generally, if you would have flown to that part of the world, you would see that it would take at least 1.5 to 2 hours, and on really during peak seasons, it would be maybe even more than 2 hours. Uh, and what could happen with Digiyatra is your arrival experience at the destination also gets enhanced because you share your credentials even to the destination. And then when you go there, you would have seen that there are these in EU. You will find those EU gates, which are automated border control gates. Those are generally not being used when you are standing in a long queue with two or three counters open. You will find that this bay of automated border control gates, no one is there. There is no passenger. Actually, you could be using that if you used the Digiyatra concept, because sharing the credentials means your passport data, your travel data, all has reached the destination airport, Frankfurt. And then when you go there, you just go to the border control gate, scan your passport, your face gets matched, and you're through. So that's the experience that we want to give. And then vice versa also. And it is not just for Indian citizens, it is something which can be made available for global citizens. So currently, prototype testing is in progress for electronic passports. And once we are through with it, there will be a lot of deliberation that we'll have to certainly do with the Ministry of External Affairs, Bureau of Immigrations in India, as well as the other agencies across the world. We are working with IATA and ICAO, and with IATA One ID, we want to ensure that this whole global seamless travel, the dream of global seamless travel happens very soon. At least we will do some pilot trials very soon.
No, Digi Yatra has been started with the vision of making the life of the airline passengers more convenient. So, can it go beyond that? Can we expect it to be implemented in the railway stations, for instance? But there's so much of crowd. I don't know how any computer system can process so many passengers, but is that a possibility?
So possibilities are endless, right? And I would say that we will leave it to our customers, and we will put all these questions as a survey. We'll ask them as to what they want. I mean, and it is only because of convenience, right? I mean, when you are going through your travel touch points, right, there is a factor of convenience, and generally because of a process, the whole thing becomes inconvenient. Your journey experience itself, is spoiled, and our intent is to enhance that journey experience. If passengers feel that they need or Digiyatra could be used at some other place, we'll be happy to provide that, because credential is already there in your phone and you could use it for any other purpose as well. We don't want to restrict that, but we'll let the people decide.
Thank you, Mr. Suresh Khadakbhavi.
No,
It's
very
very, very
nice
nice
talking.
talking to you. And I wish the best for the Yatra. We
Thank you
want
so
to
much.
keep
Thank you.
using. Thank you.